Oh, I'm so glad everyone's coming in. Welcome, welcome. And I know that you want to say hello as well. Isaac and Thorald,
Oh,
this is
hello.
Hello.
our
It's
Hi,
community.
Lisa. Hello,
beautiful to be
everyone.
here with you,
I
Lisa,
see some
and
familiar faces.
everybody
Amy,
that's here.
love
Amy's
you,
here.
Amy.
Wow, amazing.
It's
Yeah.
thanks for
Incredible to be
inviting us to
here.
be with you.
Yeah, to each of you.
Yeah. And Gina is here with us, and Gina can just continue to admit people as it comes along. I'm not going to look at the participant list anymore because I want to be fully engaged and open and raw and real and just open to this incredible community and to my amazing brothers.
Oh,
Hmm.
thank
My
you.
amazing brothers. I just so you guys know, the beginning of all of this, I reached out to Isaac and Joel because we've been, friends for a long time. We were in the same circles together, and I have supported and watched their work for so long. I love what they're up to about really, truly giving people a voice. Not only giving, but helping you find your own voice through everything that it means to you, what it brings up in you, how to use the voice for positive change in the world, how to unpack what's underneath your voice to become more powerful,
Mm.
and how to speak your truth without being afraid. That is something I come up against a lot. So I asked them to do a collaboration together today, and it happened to have been a day that I didn't know was coming, but I had my dear, dear, and most amazing mentor in my life, Aunt Terry, passed this morning.
Oh, so
And that was a unexpected, just happened. And I know that my Aunt Terry would have wanted this work to continue on the world because if someone hadn't given Terry her moment to be a rising star when she started off in her career, she wouldn't have had the success and the incredible career she had. And I can share stories, which I will share with you later. But I just wanted to honor her as well
Mm.
because we're having a conversation about a rising star, and she was one of my most amazing rising stars in my life.
Mm.
So I love what you guys do, and I'm so grateful for your work in the world and just to share with you about what you feel about that. What does being a rising star mean to you?
Oh. Well, firstly, our hearts are with this moment, and the fact that we're with you is so beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's so many things that you've shared. I would say the part that really touches me the deepest, just sitting here thinking about those that which believed in my voice,
Hmm.
like actually said, "Hey, you, like, how about you?"
Hmm.
And tracking back over that, and it's a lot less like someone's giving you voice. It's a lot more like someone's requesting yours to be of utmost value, to be as important as anyone else's. And that often just takes an invitation, a request,
Hmm.
an unlikely request even, and it can come in so many shapes. So just looking at what does it mean to not give voice to someone, but to give space to call someone's voice to the forefront
Yes.
is what comes up for me as a guide, as a way shower, as a shepherd of
Hmm.
voice music song. And that still is touching to me when someone does that to me. Like when
Right.
actually someone stops and goes, "Hey, how are you actually doing?" I mean,
Hmm.
that's someone giving me space for my voice today. And it happens to a lot of leaders, a lot of busy people in the world, people holding up a lot. It can come in all shapes and sizes, but that's really near and dear. And speaking of that rising star moment, there's a rising star in us all at all times, and
Yes.
that's what come to me to share so far.
Hmm. That's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, like Taro just said, through our work with humans of all walks and voices from all walks of life, we get to see that there is a rising star in everyone, and we have incredible access to our human potential through our expression, through voice, through movement, through the creative arts, through just the power of sharing our truth,
Mm.
and speaking like you've done today, Lisa, of just bringing everyone into their hearts and you know, taking down the veil so that we can see you, we can feel you, we can feel your aunt, we can know the truth about you, for you, with you, and you know, just you demonstrating that, you know, is your rising star. As far as, you know, from where we stand, you know, your rising star is that your truth in each moment expressed however it feels, you know, most real or pleasurable or just right for you. And yeah, the rising star from where we stand is that there is a message or there is a gift that you have that no one else has. And if you can listen in and tune into it and be of service to it, even if it doesn't make sense to you or those around you sometimes, you know, to follow it like a breadcrumb trail, often inward first, and then trusting it, like Thorald said, to be requested. You know, our grandmother was a support of my voice, you know, and always asked me to sing the standards, the evergreens that she loved. And so, yeah, where is there support for the rising star in your voice, perhaps, or your expression, you know?
Yes, yes. You know, so I'll tell a little story that my aunt told me when she was a dancer, amazing dancer, and she wanted, you know, and acting was her passion. And she was setting intentions and trying to get her voice out there, her word out there, like many, you know, Hollywood starlets do in the back in the day, especially. And she actually met Gene Wilder on a run. She
Wow.
was running and on a jog, and she got to know him and collaborate with him, and he gave her this chance between Gene Wilder and Marty Feldman and um I'm blanking. Kate Blanchett was the other starring Young Frankenstein, and it was a mostly ad-libbed. Yeah, Mel Brooks, of course,
Yeah.
was mostly an ad-libbed improvisational movie. That those scenes were loosely scripted. And
Right.
the way that that movie came about was bouncing off of each other's energies. And at the time, it wasn't a you know, it wasn't even supposed to be the cult favorite that it became, but it was because they were being so authentic in their true artistry,
Yeah.
you know, in their true sound and their true voice and their true artistry, bouncing and listening in full presence and being in that moment and utilizing the humor and you know, and when you if you go back and you watch Young Frankenstein from that perspective and you look at the laughter in those scenes, it is absolutely obvious what they just did, what they did there. And I look at that in everybody. You know, it was at the time, Terry was a fairly unknown talent, although she'd done a bunch of, you know, national commercials and other films and things like that. This was her big, huge break. And it was because at that moment, somebody recognized and gave her the opportunity to become that, um, to express that talent. And that's what I somehow ended up doing in my career is broadcasting for the last 25 years on radio and listening to and interviewing amazing, I mean, I have thousands of books around me of the people I've interviewed, such as yourselves, that have incredible talent, and the world needs to know about it. And because we have such great mediums these days with social media, with YouTube, with places to be able to express ourselves, aren't we lucky? We don't have to go on a jog and meet a director, you know, we can do podcasting and we can find all of that those platforms now, which is amazing. And it's become my mission, along with Gina, who's here with me she's been the executive producer of The Aware Show for the past 20 years with me. It is our mission to help people have their voices be heard. And we've done it through story coaching, through this Rising Stars program that we have, because we're so passionate about that, about having that voice inside of you. And it's not about the tone of your voice or the quality of your sound or the notes you can hit as a singer. It's about the emotion that you can tap into and the awareness and the presence
Mm,
that you have in order to, it comes through and makes that sound your signature. It
mm,
makes that your personal blueprint comes through the quality of your sound, right?
mm.
Mm-hmm.
I think definitely yes, and it shows up in so many ways. I think I think that there's something also interesting, and just riffing with you, because you've shared with us your kind of former journey in another career where, and we share that too, where we, particularly our egos, thought that, well, our rising star was as, you know, a touring rock band, like the next Coldplay. Surely it's a week away, and someone's there about to be there to request us. And, I mean, I'm, just more interested in your moment of pivot and awakening too. But often we see that there's this kind of rising star that we consciously move towards, which is, there's no fault in that. But then there's this other rising star that's actually for us, right? That often does need that request, like the Gene Wilder to Terry saying, "Hey, come and do this. I see this in you," even though we're on a run. So
Yeah,
sometimes it's when you least expect it that someone goes, I see your star that hasn't risen yet. While you're focusing on this other thing, there's actually something in you that is just right there at the surface.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the pivots, not only my own, but there was a woman that we did some story coaching with, and her story was of a lot of trauma around her life. I mean, her whole life was through abuse and trauma. And the way that she resolved it was through art. And she would find these beautiful things around, like washers on the street, and then multiple washers, or pennies and multiple pennies. And she would find these symbols of a house standing alone, and she would resonate so much with them, and then she would draw them and black and white and paint them.
Mm,
And when I first talked to her, she's like, "Oh, I don't want to show anybody that. I don't want to do, I can't let the world know about that." And she
yeah.
tried to cancel on us. And I knew so much that she needed to tell that story. And I gently walked her through explaining her art and showing and sharing with a series that she had been through of painting sides of barns, and a series she went through of painting the washers, and what that meant to her. And it unveiled her journey of healing that was so beautiful. She started on LinkedIn. She started posting her art, and then a whole community of artists gathered around her on LinkedIn and started doing the same thing. And now they have these, like, it just so incredible that you just don't know if what's inside of you until you start sharing it.
Mm,
And everybody's story, it's so freaking beautiful what the human being can endure.
mm,
And once everyone on here, start sharing your story, it's a release, it's a healing that
mm,
starts, it just begins
Mm.
to happen. And then anyone else who hears it, their healing starts to happen. And it's like a full-on passion project is born, like the more you share it, the more you heal. The more others heal, the more you share it.
Mm.
And that's what I've done for broadcasting for 25 years, is sharing people's stories.
mm.
And
Yeah.
you hear that through people's songs. You help people write their stories
Mm.
and sing their stories.
Mm.
And it's
Yes.
amazing. I don't know. We have
Yeah.
a similar client who's Letitia
Oh, we love Letitia.
Eugen. Yeah, and what a story. And
Mm,
synchronistically, we both know her, who's was left at the altar and married herself, right? And now she is singing to tell about it with you guys, right?
mm.
What a story.
Yeah, it's true. And it's not just the more you tell your story, the more it's healed, but it's also the more you tell it, the more that is revealed, you know.
Mm.
And as we tell it, something might shift in our perspective, or we might remember a different detail, you know,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
something might shift in us as we're sharing it, as we're being received, you know, something connects. We find that, you know, it's almost like a food group or a vitamin group that we need to be seen, to be heard, and then also to be received or understood or accepted or belonging, you know, that fabric that is connective tissue, that's the kind of mycelial cultural element of the human, that we're not alone, and yet also we're distinct and unique. So we have this beautiful tension of opposites that we hold as a human being, and but that rising star of that uniqueness in us is needed in the fabric of the culture of the world. You know, the
Yes.
world needs your voice, truly.
Yeah.
Yes, truly. And we had scheduled this call a while ago, and I had a whole PowerPoint that I was going to share with you today, but I just can't do that right now. I just wanted to, I
Mm,
messaged the brothers earlier and said, "Hey, this happened today." And in the meantime, I know that Terry would want this message to go on.
Mm.
And I only say that because this in that PowerPoint was about the hero's journey, um about Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. And think of how many times in your own story, in your own life, when you look back of all the times you went through that hero's journey, which is that call to something different, something new. You're heeding the call, and then you meet your mentors, you meet your allies, and then you meet the foes, and you meet the challenges, and you go to that dark night of the soul, and you go in the cave. And in that cave is where that innermost journey happens, where you look inside and you say, all right, who am I really? What am I really meant for? How do I show up in the world? Where do I end and the world begins? And you go through that innermost challenge. And then you come out of that cave when you're ready with that elixir of life, with that, this is the answer. This is what I want to share with the world. And the crazy thing about that is we do that so many times in our life. We
mm,
do that over and over and over again. You think we would just do that once because it's so gut-wrenching, but the human spirit wants to evolve. It seeks to evolve. And our stories are how we evolve. We evolve into our new story
mm.
all of the time. And that's what and if we have time a little later, I want to actually work with people on your stories, on going through that past journey, because I have a way of looking at it that's different than most, because I've done this for so long on the air, and I can really help you unpack that meaningful story for you to carry out into the future. Because if you don't share your story, it gets lost in you.
Mm.
And what's it all about? What's it all for
Mm.
if you don't share it?
So
And you can share it through song, you can share it through, all these different platforms. You can share it through the Rising Stars program. You could share it any way, but by all means, you've got to share it, because you're going to go back through that cave again if you don't.
Yeah,
yeah, that's so powerful. I
yeah.
There's
Thank you.
so much here. I just keep getting called to in honoring of Terry. What's one? There's so much to speak about. I can't wait for you to lead us into this story, unfurling. But I just want to offer the space back to her, to them, right? To Terry, and to say, what's a story from your that you recall that might embellish and honor this moment? What is a story that lives to tell that tale? How might you bring that into this space, even just briefly?
So she started off as I said, as a dancer, and had, singing and dancing, and my whole, like, our family, a lot of entertainers in our family. Her mom, my grandmother, was one of the original Radio City Music Hall Rockettes.
Wow.
And her father was in vaudeville on with all the, the names and the lights and things like that. And this is a funny story, but it works because I'm so into the mystical and I have been, seeking metaphysics my whole life. And Terry went once to a numerologist, and her original spelling of her name was Terry. And this numerologist said, when you change your name to an equal number of letters in your first and last name, you will have success. And so she went through this whole thing with her family. Our original last name was Gounod, Gonnoud. And my grandfather couldn't afford all of the letters on the lights on vaudeville, so he shortened it to afford it to Garr. So
Wow.
it could
Wow.
be the N's turned into R's and shortened everything to that. And then Terry shortened her name to Terigarr, and all of that happened within, her lifetime. And after that, she started getting request after request and success, but it was always her intentions and her crowd that she would hang with that were always setting these intentions together. She was very much into the metaphysics along with her, like Carrie Fisher and Jane Fonda, and we would go to we would go to Jane Fonda's workout classes together, and we would go to these incredible like experiences of setting intentions and going through
Mm,
our beliefs, and it was just so cool because it works. I mean,
mm,
as it so truly works. You and I were just on this whole miracles retreat together where the brothers just incredibly collaborated with creating a song with the group. And it's all about where you set your frequency, where you set your mind, where you set your intentions that you feed every single day. And that's how you create a new story, by the way, of your life is where you're going, where you came from to where you're going to. What can you envision? Because your life might not look like anything that it's going to look like Terry's didn't,
mm,
like
Mm.
her dad didn't, and her mom, they were no money, going through just that vision of what it meant to express your art. That's all that was about for
Mm.
my whole family, line. And that's now somehow what I've turned out teaching is
mm,
setting that vision for you, the frequency that you want to set for your life's work. And it could have absolutely nothing to do with your past. I mean, you don't have to have any image of it, experience of it. You don't have to be born with it. You can imagine it and create it as easy as anybody else can. And
mm,
that's truly where I teach from. That's where I host from. That's where we broadcast from, is that space of possibilities,
mm.
constantly in that space of possibilities. So, I mean, I don't know if I answered your question. I just went
Yeah,
on,
it's beautiful. It's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
so gorgeous.
but it was, yeah,
I love
isn't
that
that
what you
truly what
said.
you do too, right?
Mm,
Yeah, I feel like Terry was bringing intention and into the dream, into the
mm,
frequency, tuning to the frequency of what was already manifesting, right? She was already standing in the music
mm,
and the dance of what she was calling in, and it called in,
Through
and
intention, through
through intention,
frequency.
and the
Mhm.
part she definitely had a hand in was tuning there first before it had manifested, right?
mm,
Um, in
Yeah.
our experience around voice, it's a beautiful story. I really feel her, and so thank you. And what a beautiful like lineage you are from, and it makes
mm.
total sense. I would agree. You are too beautiful to be on radio only,
Oh my
Amy said.
God.
Next
Aw.
stop, the Rockettes. Let's go.
Yeah, and
No.
this claiming of, we see it. It's a complex and simple, profound experience to kind of both and give yourself permission to heal and create space to intend and tune to the frequency of next at the same time. And
Mm,
if it was always linear, then we wouldn't have to continuously be in relationship with both of those things. And what we see around voice and where music is a medicinal container, song particularly, this idea of
Love that.
inviting ourselves to be in, I don't know if there's a better word than be in the temple of the voice. I mean, as unwoo as it gets, to be home in your body, which was designed by nature to be connected with how it feels to sound out who you are and receive the experience of life through the same body. That's not woo-woo at all. That's extremely real, right? And it's actually more fabricated that we get disconnected from that reality than it is actually be with that reality. So part, I think, of this beautiful experience of voice, music, song, and story and intending life is first to be, can you be honest with how you feel? Second, can you give voice to how you feel in ways that is real? And then born in the wake of that space is room to tune into the frequency of what you really want. I don't know if it's always in that order, but all of those dance together.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, it is. It's a weaving, it's a dance, and it comes from within you. It doesn't necessarily come from any external frequency. It's listening to that inside of you, that truth inside of you, when it starts to arise, and you can't do anything else but to express that through the highest way that you know how. And that's what voice does. I love the temple of the, what did you call it? The temple of the voice?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sacred.
It is
Well,
sacred.
just to kind of practice the preach here, I think this summer we started our foundation and we took it on the road. And, anyone may not know our story, but we followed our beautiful mum, who had a fabulous midlife crisis when we were teenagers and left the country, left the family, and left her kids really behind. And the youngest was 11, our sister.
Wow.
And one by one, we followed and entered our own heroic journey where we had a want, desire, and so we went on that journey. And there was, just like Lisa said, there was friends, there was trials, there was enemies, there was the catabasis, the fall. We each had our own, and rose up to, I would say, the journey didn't complete until the very end, when we realized it wasn't about what we wanted. It was about what we needed. It wasn't about what we were there to get. It was what we were there to give. And and that was the elixir for us, the tough pill to swallow even. But this summer, and the more you tell it, the more it reveals.
Nice.
We were telling our story. We were at an orphanage, an incredible orphanage. I get chills every time I think about it, because these kiddos were incredible. We can't wait to go back there and work with them again. But we were writing a song with them. And before we kind of wrote the song, we were telling our story. And we've told our story hundreds of times, at least, right? In many different rooms, Zooms, and all that, right? But this time was different, because when we said our mum left, the whole room got it. The whole room. And in that moment, I saw the orphan in me. Not until that moment had I accepted, acknowledged, or peeled back that layer. Because the truth is, I'm not in many ways, but there's a part of me that is.
Yes.
That I hadn't recognized before this moment. And it was so revealing and healing. And in telling the story again, I could have said, we don't need to tell the story again.
Right. That is such an amazing example. I remember when you told me about that, and I could just imagine those little kids' lives completely transforming because you told that story, because they saw themselves in you. They saw that you had a similar relationship to abandonment, and they realized it wasn't the end of the road. They could be successful like you. They could have a voice like you. They could have a life like you. You have changed each one of those kids' lives. Whether it's now or down the road, it's going to come back that they saw the example of you in them. And that is life changing for them. Life-changing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it was that beautiful. And what followed was just unbelievable. So we wrote this song. They wrote this song. We facilitated it. We go around, different places and facilitate song as an experience. We do it on Year of Miracles, and there we were doing it just for these 30 kids, unexpected, by the way. And at the end of them writing this song, which was really honest, I mean, just truly honest about how they felt.
Heartbreaking.
At the end of the song, one young teenager got up and said, "Can I get on the mic?" And we're like, "Sure." And like tapped it and sat down and said, "I just want to tell you my story."
First time ever.
Not us, the whole 25, 30 people, including some of the house parents of this orphanage. And like started to just tell it without like a lot of fanfare, just the details of how many homes they've been placed in, what occurred, what didn't work, what the challenge is, how they feel now. And then the next one was like, "Okay, my turn." And 3 different people, one of which had never told their story on the microphone. So this sort of just continued to unfold this notion of story. And what feels so amazing, what's so interconnected here, is that you don't realize who you're going to have an effect on. And I want to call out something that's been really hard for me in my life, in my earlier life especially. And I feel like really privileged that it's healed and healing in me in such a way that I feel space around it, which is I was programmed from an early age I was told I was special. That's a whole other burden. I wasn't unsupported, I was supported. And that followed me through a lot of my life until I wasn't being supported in the music industry. And this compliment that would come across our desk would be, "Wow, you guys are so talented. Why haven't you made it yet?"
Right.
Right? So it was this build up from a young special kid at a performing arts high school
Yeah.
all the way through to being passed on in the industry, build up in me that felt like something's wrong with me. Right? Like what are you not getting here? And of course, there's practical reasons why sometimes we didn't work in the music industry. But that feeling stayed with me such that I couldn't recognize, and this is what I really wanted to touch on in my little story here, is that I couldn't recognize when success was showing its face to me in the smaller ways it was. Right? And I remember this one moment, I was in Virginia at Jam and Java. There was, I think 80 people had bought tickets.
Laura was there.
Laura just popped on screen because she may have been there.
Uh-huh.
And I remember this woman came up to me right as I was standing at the bar before the show, and I was thinking about how many people are coming tonight, thinking about how much we hadn't quite made it yet, still looking into this intention, okay, I got to make it. And I was looking at the wall, and there was these posters of different artists that had made the Jam and Java wall, some of which were bigger artists than us that, they just were. And I just remember being like, "God, how do you make the wall?" And up came this woman, and she was like really nervous. She was like, "Hey, I just wanted to say hi. I'm so excited for the show." And I remember as she was first talking to me, I remember still looking at who else was in the room. And then I remember this moment. I can't say I learned the lesson straight away at all, but I remember pulling myself back and going, "It's right in front of you." Like this fan's driven. I think I asked her a couple questions. She had driven a couple states, it turned out, to come and see us.
Wow.
And,
Tennessee.
look, youth is wasted on the young, our grandmother would say. I would love to go back to that moment as a 43-year-old man and soak in the moments I couldn't then. That's not how life works, right? What I started to discover was that the moments are right in front of us, and we don't know who we're going to have an effect on, but we have to actually take in and drink in those we do have an effect on, not from taking it personally, but from actually receiving the reciprocal gift of touching someone that you didn't have expectations to touch. And that's when our stories come to life. And that's what I find, if this is helpful for anyone, that if you've waited in your life to tell your story because you're afraid of how many people and how many people are going to like it on Instagram and how you're going to start the course and the book and the thing. And yeah, it's okay for Lisa Garr to say that. She's on iHeartRadio. It's okay for the Brothers Koren. They toured with Coldplay, whatever. I still have felt that. And it's still an illusion, because the illusion is you might touch that one person that touches that 100 people, that touches that million, and it still might not be better than one. Even that, I
Yes.
want to put a pin in that. What if that one person you're honest with about your story is changed forever, and that's enough?
More than
Oh, I do a whole visualization on that where I create this timeline and you look back at all these pearls of wisdom that you've gained from your past. And you're this giant bird and you're floating over this timeline, like the 30,000-foot view. And you look back and you scoop up all these seeds of wisdom that you have as this beautiful bird. And then you turn around into the future and you sprinkle them as seeds into the atmosphere, detaching from the outcome of who they will ever impact, knowing they will fully impact generations to come. And it's so beautiful because that's what we do by telling our stories. We impact generations to come. It's such a powerful thing. Even if you touch one person, that's honestly why I created the Rising Stars program, because I'd spent 20 years interviewing best-selling authors and people with these huge platforms. And Wayne Dyer was my mentor, and all of these people that had all these huge platforms, by the way, who was an
Yeah.
orphan boy
Mm.
and never got always spoke from that space. But look, I look at all these books around me of these best-selling authors, but what about those that aren't on that stage, that don't have that opportunity to reach the millions of people? That's who has equally as good of a story, if not even more inspiring. And we wanted to give those people, you, that voice, which is why so we created a program where I take you through a story coaching session where we help unpack that beginning, middle, and possibility part of your story. I don't ever say beginning, middle, and end because there's not an end. There's always a possibility which you're moving into. How can you help? How do you pay it forward story? And then we come back in a second session where I interview. I come up with a list of questions like I would any other author, and I come up with an opening like I would any other author, and I interview you. So I help your story unfold in an organic way. And then we put that on our YouTube channel, which we've created a separate section for Rising Stars. And the people that are on there have gotten beautiful feedback and shown they could share it with the world. And your story is there as your legacy piece, as your story going forward. And then we've gone on to help people like Letitia create programs on self-love. Like now she's creating, this is the woman who got left at the altar and married herself. Now, what she found in that moment of marrying herself was how much is herself that she needed to love, and herself that she's relying on for um, any move that she's making in her future. And she learned so much from that moment. Now she's teaching it. Like,
It's amazing.
that's fantastic.
Let's go.
And some of these other authors aren't even available any longer to be, to go through coaching and so forth with and have these huge programs. Now, I want to give access to those that have the stories like you, that can impact the person that you don't even know, that can change their life forever. That's my legacy, mission in the world. That's why we do the Rising Stars program. That's why we do what we do. And that now then goes to our podcast and everything because it gives people a chance to be heard, to be heard. Yes. And just story after story, I'm so blown away. Every time Jeannie and I get done with an interview, we're like, oh my God, that was amazing. Just because we just have so much faith in the human spirit, so much faith in the human spirit.
Mm.
And so I am, and I wanted to work with people on their stories. I just like a quick moment here on the call. I do want to mention in there, there's two links that Gina's going to put in. One is an opportunity to just have a free 15-minute chat with me, just to let me hear what you're up to. Let me hear what your next steps want to be. Let me help you birth something in you type of thing. And that's just to get on a Zoom call with me and we can chat about some. They go longer than 15 minutes because we can't really get everything in 15 minutes. But and then there's also the Rising Stars program that I'll have. Gina will throw up the link there as well. And to, work with me on that platform. And so does anybody have a story they want to tell? Or maybe you don't know your story and you want to just raise your hand, and the little raise hand thing, I think you go under the react button on the bottom. And you can I can help you figure out that past, that middle. And I know that you're up to amazing things. I know that you're in an incredible transition in your life, because so many people are. I mean, just by a show of hands, how many people are in a transition in their life? Ending of one thing, going to another, right? Could be a job, a relationship, a move, a loss. All of that is a transition, and that's where you look to your story for your next steps, because you can find out from where you've been, what you've learned, how to help you with this transition, what you're made of in order to create your next steps. Super powerful, especially those of our friends, brothers, and sisters in the entertainment industry going through massive transition right now. It doesn't know what it is. It's learning, it's reinventing itself, right? So, Bianca, let me hear from you. If you could turn your video on, and I've asked you to unmute there so I could, let me see if I can prompt you to ask to start video. There we go. Can you hear us, Bianca? I have you unmuted. Bianca? Okay, then David, can you hear me as soon as Bianca gets her audio figured out? David.
Yeah.
Hi.
Part of my story was an amazing mentor, Doug Von Koss, who I call him the celestial choir master. He's like Gandalf's good-looking brother, leader
Oh,
in the men's movement, worked with Robert Bly, sings all over the world.
wow.
Saw him this weekend. He's 91. He can't lead anymore.
Oh,
He was in Hawaii and going through the jungle and took a side path and came to this sign that said, "Welcome to the Temple of Melodious Sound." And it was a rundown temple. And
wow.
he made this song, and I'm going to be brave. It's real short. I'll try and sing it, but I can't do it very well.
Do
It's
it.
Welcome to the Temple of Melodious Sound. Welcome to the Temple of Melodious Sound. Welcome to the Temple of Melodious Sound. The song goes on and on. The song goes on and on.
Love it. I love it.
Ooh, yes, Dave.
Yes.
Thank you for singing that. That's catchy.
Yeah, it is. He's an amazing, amazing celestial choir master.
And tell me about you, David, a little bit about your story.
I was a poor kid in a rich kid's school on scholarship, minister's son. I used to think I clean the toilets everyone else craps in, and they don't know it, but I do. I was the
Mm,
only kid that had a job.
mm,
Got to college in the 60s and all of a sudden discovered, wow, people liked me. And girls liked me after being in an all-boys school.
mm.
Um, I was the only undergrad who was an instructor in the theater department. Um, I was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in New York City. I mean,
Oh,
in Boston, not
fantastic.
New York. And
Fantastic.
came back and was asked with my old theater friends to join a lesbian band. We called ourselves the oldest living lesbian rock band because there was 8 of us. And it was on the ground floor of feminism. And there were a lot of women who were really pissed off that I was a straight guy in this band with 7 dykes. And it was pretty crazy. I got out of that, became a dope dealer, got in trouble, went to prison, came out, rejoined the family trade. There's 8 ministers in my family, and started doing church work. ended up at the Unity of Richmond, where I was the only white person there for 6 years, being the pastor there, and retired and just trying to find my way. And
Oh,
I haven't got
wow.
much time left. My little brother just died, and we scattered his ashes, and I'm going, okay, dude, if you're going to make a move, you got to do it. And
Well, you got
that's
a
where
lot of life force in you, my friend, and
Yeah.
a lot to share. What a story.
yeah,
Thank you, David.
Oh my goodness. You have a lot to share. And yes, the ministry in the local churches is important, but what about doing an online ministry? What about helping people who are recovering? What about even
yeah.
a reform type of ministry, prison reform type of ministry?
That's a trip because when I was in prison in 1982, I had a vision that I would be the first online minister. So it hadn't even been invented yet, and I
Wow.
never did it.
Well, ye who says he,
Wow.
go ahead, Isaac.
That's
Oh
it. We
no,
need to let
I want to
someone
hear what
else
you're
do
going to say,
Oh
but
my
I'm
God.
just here to support you.
Haiti.
You said it
Ye
to the
who
right
said you
lady.
have a short life to live, which I don't believe, you have a lot to give. And that knowledge and that experience that you have right there is phenomenal. And if you can pay that forward and go, towards an online type of ministry, that would be pretty interesting. That would be really interesting. I
Thank you.
mean,
Someone else needs to have the space. Thank
oh,
you.
Bianca, we just got her audio and video working and then her call dropped. Okay, maybe she'll come back on.
We see Bianca now. Wow.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Please do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do that. And it's not hard. I mean, anybody can create easily these days a podcast, a way to be heard, as I said, on YouTube, or if there's um, any other way that you can be heard, and people will come. They will come. They'll realize that it's something that resonates with them, and that frequency will resonate with them. And the theatrical background that you have, David, also can help you with what you can do in terms of allowing people to express themselves creatively through theater or arts while in recovery is also an incredible combination. I don't know if there's anything like that, but a recovery theater program, something really
In
cool.
prisons. Yeah.
Yeah.
David, we share the passion. It's not our first domain or area for our foundation. We're starting with the kiddos, but next up, after we launch our education platform for kids and schools, we want to get into prisons. We want to to have people have an experience of peace and freedom through their voice.
Yeah.
So we're there on the path with you.
Yay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Might we just make a simple request, David, so that you don't feel alone? Why don't you make sure that you just drop us a little note, and I think what's alive and well is, will be at any influence in you, even if we have a request in the future as we start to grow out of just kid programs. So make sure you share with us ways to be in touch. And so you can
Definitely
feel
reach
the
out to
tribe.
Lisa for that 15 minutes.
Oh, definitely.
Thorald and I both want it
I've
as
already
well.
almost found a time.
Yeah.
Lisa's like, what?
We're going to be the first in the inbox. We need a 15 minutes.
Awesome,
Dave.
awesome. I would love it. I mean, yes, I see David signed up, and I'm really grateful because I get to spend some time with you to inspire you to your next step. And so Bianca, is she still there? I see her listed, but I don't see her. Do I have the video thing on? Oh, she's still there. I don't know. If you can hear us, Bianca, and unmute yourself, then just start speaking, sister, because I can't see you. And if anyone else wants to, she's waving. Why do I not see Bianca? Can you start speaking?
We can't hear your voice yet, Bianca. It looks like you're trying to speak, but your mic's not working.
Oh, and you got off and on?
Oh, there you are. Okay, that's why. Yeah, let's see
Oh,
here.
so
Okay, well, just start to text me on, maybe you can ask your question that way. And then if there's anyone else that wants to raise their hand, but Bianca raised her hand first, and I really want to hear what she has to say. You can also maybe call in. I
Oh,
heard
so
you.
let me know.
Yeah,
Yay!
tech gods worked. Um, tell me a little about your story. I'm so glad we can hear you.
Um, yeah, I guess I'm in a transition at the moment, definitely. A lot of blockages on my voice. And so my background is yoga and Pilates, and then moved into energy work, voice, Reiki. And yeah, I've been doing some of the brothers work as well. And I'm going to be doing the sonic teaching at the end of the year with Eileen. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that, and
I mean,
just
honestly,
getting.
I don't hear a blockage in your voice. I hear a very pure and beautiful voice.
Yeah, I've done lots of work to clear, but yeah, I definitely feel like I've been sort of psychically attacked and stuff, and had it definitely blocked, and a lot of energy work shifting it and releasing it, and just feel like now I'm coming into it. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and I mean they're the experts on voice, but I love the sound of the quality of you. But what I hear is your heart more than anything, and I hear what your passion is around yoga, is around combining the yoga and the voice because it's ultimately a heart-opening experience, right?
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
yeah, and then honestly, when you start helping other people feel that voice through the expansion of their body and you start to see their expansion, how does that make you feel?
Oh, I love it.
Right? It keeps you moving forward, right? And that also can be when you're moving forward, you're not looking back, right? When you're moving forward towards what you're looking for, what you want, the past starts to dissolve itself. Same thing happens in the brain. When you start to build new neurons in the brain, the old ones start to implode because you're not putting in as many neurotransmitters through them to keep them plump. You go towards the new ones, you get all that great energy towards the new thoughts, new ideas. So then you have more of them, more of them. That is exactly what the point is of going towards your new story is what do you want? What does it look like, Bianca? What do you want?
um, yeah, that's the tricky part, I guess. It,
Just if you were to
it,
imagine, just big, huge dream,
yeah.
big dream. What would it be?
um, it'll be like uplifting songs, mantras. Um,
Ah,
yeah,
yep.
um, meditations. Like I do sound as well, so like
So
crystal bowls, gongs, all that sort of stuff. So just combining that all, getting it out there for people.
yummy.
Yeah.
Give me a mantra from your heart.
Um, I am the light of the soul. I am bountiful. I am beautiful. I am bliss. I am.
Ah, thank you. It's right there. Yes. Right there. She's right in you. You don't have to go far. She's right in you. And she came out. And it's all, I mean, I couldn't have thought of those words. How many times have you said that to yourself?
Oh, yeah, it's like a Kundalini mantra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So knowing that's there inside of you and you don't have to go far outside of yourself at all to find that, it's only a matter of bringing it out more, of letting that rise, just like the Kundalini rising. You don't have to go outside yourself to find it or get validated for it or do anything else. It's just allowing that to come up within you. So maybe in your next class that you take or you teach, do you teach yoga?
Yeah, I teach yoga and Pilates, but I'm trying to sort of stop that and go straight into all the sound and singing and clearing people's voices
What if you
and
combine them?
Reiki.
What if
Yeah.
you combine them? And what if you do a few tracks with the brothers and you play it during your um, Shavasana? What if you do it as, one of your songs or a couple of mantras during Pilates? I mean, it's so easy to blend the two.
Yeah, definitely.
right? Right?
Yeah.
Right? I just movement and mantras to combined is a beautiful thing because you get the mantra into the cells as you're going through the movement, right?
Yeah, that whole mind body connection. Totally.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Well, I thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you shared and I got a chance to get your
It was
audio.
beautiful, Bianca.
Thank
Thank you
you,
for
Bianca.
daring forward. It's
Where are you from?
yeah. Where are you now?
I'm in Australia.
Yeah,
What part?
Uh, Emerald Beach, New South Wales.
amazing.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, like Lisa said, your voice is beautiful, and please trust this calling to integrate.
Yeah.
As much as you can. Like, don't leave behind your other gifts necessarily, unless you really just don't enjoy them anymore. But like, maybe there is this kind of next level where it's both, and it's not this or that, and it's like we get to kind of bring all of us, right? Just like David, like if he left behind this part of him that went to prison when he went to prison, right, and does ministry, that would be leaving something very important out, right, of the story. And yoga and Pilates is like body awareness is, movement is. And so how does movement and voice and sound healing all work together through you, as a gift?
You the most
Not to
important
get,
part
but
of
to
that.
give. How can you, what would inspire you to give? Like if you could dream up 45 minutes with a room of people, what would you be giving if you could do anything?
That's nice.
It's
a nice prompt.
Yeah, definitely. Probably be doing some breath work, sound at the beginning, movement. Yeah, definitely combining it all. Expression of voice, Savasana, deep Reiki at the end. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh,
I want to come.
I know. I was about to say, what a great program.
I want to come to that experience.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Well, once you have your 25 minutes with Lisa, let
25.
us know
It's
how we
gone
can
from
support
15
you.
to 25.
I
Let
don't
us know how we
care.
can support you.
Bianca, you're
Oh.
currently working with us in Sing the Bioelectric, so I'm
Yes.
assuming. So there'll be more to come, and any way we can support your voice story, we will.
But yeah, like Lisa says,
Beautiful.
step into the dream, dream
Yeah.
big. And, I think there's a safe space in Lisa's voice to hold your dream, your biggest dream. And that's so valuable.
Yes.
Love you.
And we can like literally map it out because once you get off this call, I don't want that to end. I want that dream to be realized. And we'll map it out. What's your beginning, middle, and end of that class look like? And when are you going to put it in the calendar? And when are you going to teach it? And how's it going to go? And let's, make it happen for you. It's a brilliant and beautiful next step.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to bring it into schools and do it for kids.
Ah, that's even better. Great, 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 great. Yes. And as you will. As you will.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And I just this has been so healing for me to be here with you all today and to just collaborate and do just living a passion and living with purpose heals so much. And I just am so grateful for taking a break from all of the news and the grief and all the stuff to just be here and be in purpose and passion with you. And I thank you so much for this time. I would have done it with anyone other than just you guys.
We're so grateful.
Thank you,
to be
Lisa.
included.
Yeah, thanks for including us in your world.
Oh,
And to our,
thank you.
your beautiful Terry.
Yeah, Terry. Yeah.
She's soaring now, no longer has that body that was riddled with MS. That was not good. For now, she gets to soar and gets to fly finally. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so much. And I am so just honored and blessed to be with you all today. This has been a huge, amazing healing for me to share purpose and passion and voice with you. And I love you guys. Isaac and Thorald, you have always been my spirit brothers. So thank you for everything. And we'll see each other soon. Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
sister,
thank
thank
you.
you.
And thanks to everyone that stood in this conversation here. Thank you.
This
Yeah.
is magical.
See you
Beautiful.
again.
See you
All
all soon.
right. Until next time.
Yeah.
Okay. Lots of love.